work, x-rays, etc., instead of going over the hill again, you're going to be able to do that thing right here on the coast. That's a big deal. And then Sal, the Sheriff's Athletic League, organized a dinner with 12 local kids to show them the proper etiquette of how to sit down and have a dinner with adults. You know, who pulls the chair out for the young lady and where do the forks and the knives go. And these kids were a lot of fun. They ranged from about 11 to 17, and they were very appreciative. There was a lot of fun there. Cherise put it together, and then she made all the kids send us a thank you card, which I thought was very impressive. So it was time well spent. Then the next morning, we had the Coastside Collaborative, which is the after-school committee, and they talk about all the different activities that are happening on the coast for kids, whether it's library, whether it's SAL activities, boys and girls, anything that's happening in town that's good for the kids. And then on the 8th, I met with the neighbors on Kehoe, and we talked about the issues they're having with the Kehoe ditch. And it was a very interesting meeting. My presence there was mainly just to listen and understand what's happening. And then that Friday, we met at 3 o'clock, and we toured the homes in the backyards and looked at the ditch from each of the backyards, the problems, the erosion, and so forth. So again, it was a real eye-opener, and I think we've got a good dialogue going. Then I think last week, Naomi and I met on GPAC with Alex, the General Plan AC Advisory Committee, GPAC. And I will tell you, I was a little nervous about us getting enough volunteers, but we were pleasantly surprised. We've got some great people signing up, and I think we're going to have a really good committee. And it's so critical that we do a good general plan. And then last night we had another SAM meeting, and again, the new interim general manager is walking us through a relook at the capital investment plan, which could easily over the next few years reach $7 or $8 million. So it's really important that we have a really close examination of the best places to spend our money to get the most bang for the dollars and not have any issues with beach spills or anything like that. Very busy couple of weeks there.
Thanks, Alan. A lot going on. And Councilmember Patridge.
Okay, I attended the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting, which is called the BPAC. The main purpose of our meeting was the scoring and ranking of the TDA Article 3 funds. And this was really the first time in a long time that Half Moon Bay did not submit a project. And most of the cities were very happy that we did not, because we always get a lot of money for our trails. But we did not put any money in this year. But we did approve a recommendation of 5 projects to CCAG for approval and 4 planning projects for master planning of the bicycle and pedestrian plans. Every city is supposed to have a master plan of bicycle and pedestrian plans so that cities can plan for those trails and also be eligible for grant money. So we're very fortunate that we do, and that's one of the reasons why we've been very successful in getting money for our trails. Attended the Congestion Management Environmental Quality Control meeting. We had a real lengthy conversation on shuttles. We were reviewing our congestion management program, and we are having a problem of getting information from private shuttles of how many people they are shuttling from the businesses, and they're not required to give us that information, so consequently we are not able to really give an accurate number in our report. So we are working on that, because between Genentech and some of the other companies, Marina, Genentech, excuse me, we can't get the numbers. So we're working on that. Ooh, thank you, Ellen. We also heard a report on the progress of San Mateo County Energy Watch. Excuse me. And Half Moon Bay is the only city that hasn't started their integrated climate action planning. It's
Sweet, so we need to do that.
Neither has Brisbane.
Pardon? Oh, okay. Oh, no, Brisbane started theirs. So we got a chart. And I had to say, we were short people, so we haven't started ours. We had a teleconference with Chairman Jeff G. on the airport roundtable. Sorry, I'm coming down with a cold. Thanks, Marina. No, I don't want to pass. I will fight through this. Heard a report from John Martin, who is the airport director, and they were talking about the major construction project they're going to be having at SFO. It's going to be starting in the springtime. So for those of you that are traveling, be aware that there is going to be some major construction on 2 of their runways. So they did it this year already, and they're going to be continuing it next year. So there will be out a lot of information out to the public about that, so that when you are traveling, you will need to be aware. And it is going to cause an increase in noise in certain cities because of the traffic patterns having to go out from the airport. So just be aware of that. We had updates on the FAA port departure and analysis of the oceanic arrivals over Woodside VOR. We are still working really hard and diligently trying to decrease the noise over Woodside and Brisbane. And it's very difficult to do because you're competing for airspace between Oakland and San Francisco Airport. And the FAA controls all of that. None of the airports control where the planes go. So we are in constant contact with Congresswoman Spear and issue to try and continue working on all the routes and stuff. But it's starting to get a little bit better, but the cities are still complaining. We have updated our website. It's a little bit more user-friendly, so if you go to the Airport Roundtable website, it is much friendlier. Even I can do it now, so it really makes it really simple. So I attended the Transportation Authority meeting. We approved our 2014 Board of Directors meeting calendar. We accepted the statement of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending June 2013. Accepted the quarterly investment report, authorized the allocation of $5,300,000 of Measure A funds for grade separation program, and authorized the allocation of $240,000 for design review for the South City Caltrain station. We heard a report, but we didn't take any formal action on the Dumbarton Rail Measure 2 funding. Their board did not have a quorum, so we could not approve or disapprove that funding. Then I attended 2 of the Cabrillo Unified Measure S Citizens Oversight Committee meeting, and I did join Marina in sorting library books on Friday along with our city manager. So that was really a lot of fun, and I've never seen people sort through books so fast in my life.
Thank you. So for our audience and folks viewing from home or online, I think this is a really great example. We're even one council member short tonight. This is a really great example of the type of activities and how the city of Half Moon Bay is represented in other organizations around the county, around the state, and the activities of this council. And it's just really noteworthy hearing all the things that everybody's doing. I have a couple things to mention. One, I want to acknowledge tonight's 10th anniversary of Councilmember Frazier being on the council. It's a noteworthy event, so congratulations. A couple things are already mentioned, but the Pumpkin Festival this year, I think it was the best yet. It was just fantastic. Lots of people, everybody happy, no big issues. So, as always, a pinnacle event for our community. I've been collaborating and working with the Half Moon Bay Chamber of Commerce on the topic of economic development, and we'll be getting some report outs from that in the coming weeks. You can look for that. Alan commented on the ribbon cutting for Dr. Nida Moshasha, who's the optometrist. Actually, that already happened, yeah. That happened on November 5th. And then an update on, we're recruiting a new general manager for SAM, the Sewer Authority Midcoast. And that committee has been meeting, and we have resumes in hand. We've got, I think we received just under 20 applications. We have resumes in hand, and we're screening them, and we're arranging for the next level of interviews. Of course, we have an interim general manager in place who is an expert, is just a pro, and doing a wonderful job. And in the meantime, the committee continues to meet to recruit the full-time general manager for the Sewer Authority. Alan and myself, the interim general manager, and some SAM staff toured our SAM facilities, and that was very informative. It's very familiar with the facilities, but really spent hours and hours going from pump station to pump station to pump station. And this is the glamour of being on the city council, is touring the Sewer Authority assets and facilities. But let me tell you how important it is. I mean, well, I'm not going to tell you, just use your imagination. It's pretty darn important. The big takeaway is that there are some maintenance needs that we need to attend to, and we need to do so in a smart way. And so at our most recent SAM meeting, Sewer Authority meeting, we talked about the SAM, so the Sewer Authority Strategic Asset Management. And it's a concept of taking engineering principles to applying probability of there being an incident and the negative impact of an incident, and putting those two components together to determine which things we should address first. We can't just obviously always replace to have things new. It's a strategic maintenance program, but there are pumps that are aging. There are pipes that need replacing. There are all these kinds of things, and we have this asset is worth tens and tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and we need to maintain it. So we're taking a strategic approach to that, and that's something that our interim GM brought to the table and that we're embracing as an important concept. I think those are the key things that I participated in since our last council meeting. And with that, I turn over to the city manager for updates.
Thank you, Mayor Kwelchuk. I have a number of different updates tonight. I would actually like to start with some bittersweet news, and the bitter part is that Lieutenant Lisa Williams, who's been instrumental in transitioning our law enforcement services to the county sheriff, is being reassigned to a different position within the county sheriff's office. But the good news is that Lieutenant John Muncy will be joining us. This will be happening in January. And Lieutenant Muncy not only went to school in his early childhood in Half Moon Bay, but has a lot of terrific professional experience that's directly relevant to working in Half Moon Bay. So I would like Lieutenant Lisa Williams to formally introduce Lieutenant Muncy.
Good evening, Mayor Kwelchuk, council members. I'd like to introduce tonight Lieutenant John Muncy, who has been selected to assume command of the Coastside Patrol Bureau and Law Enforcement Services for the City of Half Moon Bay. Lieutenant Muncy has extensive operational experience, including managing critical incidents and tactical operations. He has experience in dealing with gangs and gang prevention initiatives. He has a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in public administration. Lieutenant Muncy's most recent assignment is with the county's Narcotic Task Force, which is a joint effort between law enforcement agencies countywide. Lieutenant Muncy is calm, thoughtful in his decision-making, and brings creative solutions to solving often complex problems. Sheriff Monks recognizes the importance of community policing and outreach, and for the past 3 years, efforts have been concentrated on bringing staff to the coastside who have connections to the coastside in order to build trust and credibility. Lieutenant Muncy has just such a connection in that he spent a good deal of his childhood growing up here on the coastside and in Half Moon Bay. He attended Hatch Elementary, El Granada Elementary, and Cunha Middle School. Lieutenant Muncy is well respected by his peers and his staff for his leadership and thoughtfulness, and I think the world of Lieutenant Muncy, and I think you'll be happy with his service.
I just want to say thank you for having me tonight. Thank the city manager for selecting me, and just saying I'm really looking forward to coming back and being a part of this community.
Thank Thank you very much. So I don't want to set the bar too high, but and I don't have to because Lieutenant Williams set the bar very high already. And so we're sorry to see you move on, but we're happy for your new opportunities. But welcome to the coast, and look forward to working with you. Thank you. Marina, please.
And just wanted to thank Lieutenant Williams for her leadership and all that she's done for us over here. We really do appreciate it. And Vice Mayor Mueller wanted to send his congratulations to you as well.
She'll again be here through the rest of the calendar year, and you will have another opportunity to thank her on December the 17th.
Okay, then I'll hold my thanks, but thank you. Welcome, John. I think I remember you in elementary school.
So in continuing with the rest of my updates tonight, another item that I wanted to respond to was sidewalk ordinance. I know there's been a lot of concern about this. There's been a great deal of publicity about the sidewalks in Half Moon Bay. And just wanted to bring folks up to date on a couple of things, some past history and then some future things that are going to happen. It was 102 years ago, actually, that the state of California made property owners responsible for maintaining their sidewalks. It was in 1911, the California Street and Highway Code 5610 was enacted, and that places the burden of maintaining sidewalks, including trees that are adjacent to property, on property owners. They define what that is. It includes parking strips, any retaining walls that protect sidewalks, curbs, that kind of thing. And if it allows the cities to charge the property owner if the property owner doesn't maintain them and the city has to do the maintenance on their behalf. We would like to further give some information about this at a workshop or some similar venue in 2014 when we can fully explain all these details and respond to a lot of the questions and the comments that we've heard and try and put together maybe some panel of experts or something that can come and give better information. So we will be bringing that back in 2014. The next item is bringing everyone up to date on the street resurfacing program. And I actually have a lot of information to share, but I'm realizing that it's such fabulous information that it's going to become an organizational excellence item that Mo doesn't know about yet. And just briefly, we are just about finished. We have a little bit of, as of last week, we had a little bit of striping left to do for our 2013 street resurfacing program. And we were able to actually maintain 9 miles of streets, which is almost a third of the streets in the city this year. And that was primarily because we had over $1 million to spend on the program. About $500,000 of that is from Measure J. So that went a long way. And we'll actually be bringing some more numbers and other information to you about how important it is to continue this to make sure we do cost-effective street maintenance. And then I also wanted to touch on the fact about what Councilmember Alfano mentioned. Applications are open for GPAC, and we are accepting those through December the 2nd, I believe. And so would encourage folks to apply. This is the General Plan Advisory Committee, which is the citizens group that's going to help inform the Planning Commission and the City Council about what things we need to address in our general plan. And lastly, I wanted to call your attention to some flyers that are over on the table, and it's about a planning and permitting workshop that our planning manager Bruce Ambo has worked hard to put together with the other folks that issue permits in town, including the building department, the water district, and CAL FIRE. And I really would encourage people to go. The workshop is going to be on December the 5th at 2 p.m. This is targeted for people who their business is somehow affected by it, either contractors that use the permitting process frequently or realtors that need to help their clients, that kind of thing, which is why we set the date and the time that we did. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to ask questions, understand the process, and you really should come because we're going to be unveiling some new things and some new information, like a new form. And I know that a new form sounds very, yes, bureaucratic and boring, but it is, we have redesigned some things to try and make it simpler and easier to do. So I would encourage people to come on December 5th at 2 p.m. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, and remember to press hard on the new forms we make. 3 copies.
Duplicate.
Yes, Naomi.
I just want to make a comment on the Measure J, the street resurfacing project. And I just want to thank Mo, especially on Kelly Avenue, the adjustment they made and how really well it came out. And I just want to say that, you know, working with the residents and thinking it really panned out. Marina and I went down and looked at it and stuff, so I really appreciate that.
Great, thank you. Thank you, and I concur, it was very successful. Next topic is the public forum. I've got 2 cards. Anybody who wishes to speak, please complete a card and give it to our city clerk. The first is Deborah Hawk.
Hello, and thank you very much for having me here. My issue, in short, is the zoning of 250 San Mateo Road. I've spoken to Alan before about this, and it's really become a very, very large health hazard for us who live there. We are a small community, and the permits that Mr. Andrini was given, he's not abiding by the rules, and it really is creating a very large health impact upon us. Lamont Mack, the code enforcement officer, does have the information as submitted, and he came out and took pictures. And I would really, really be appreciative if the city could take a look at rezoning us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next is George Mudiff.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. George Mudiff, 408 Redondo Beach Road. At the last council meeting, I commented about what I feel is a health and safety issue in Half Moon Bay, and that would be the coyote population coming in off the hills and living in the flats here. I've lost some more cats along the way since then, and I'm doing my best to try to stop that. But as I mentioned before, and I don't know, maybe I just didn't present it properly, but I'm looking for some sort of help. You know, I called the county, called the state, called the feds, talked to the game wardens, and they're all real sympathetic, but, you know, basically it seems as though everybody's scared of their own shadow and they won't come out and do anything about it. So I guess my last recourse, which probably should have been my first recourse, would be to talk to the city about it, because this is a city issue, it is a health and safety issue, and it is really, really, really bad. And when I brought it up the last time, I saw a couple of heads nodding, so I know that a couple of you at least are aware of it. And it's been going on for years, but it's never come to this level. It seems to get worse every year, but now I'm having them on our property, I'd say over the last 3 months, probably an average of 2 to 3 times a week. You know, aside from trying to protect your property, you know, getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, as soon as you open the door, they hear it. They're very smart critters. Most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with the property, and you know there's really no choke point there, so I can't trap them, which really doesn't leave me a lot of positive alternatives. I haven't heard anything from the city since I said something last time. I really would appreciate it if it means I have to come into the city or call, or if I can get a call back, if there's some way that we can work on this. It's not just my issue. They started on the south end of town and wiped out all the cats down at Kenyatta Cove, but you may be aware that about 3 or 4 weeks ago, a very young, healthy young man was attacked by coyotes, damn near killed. Although attacks on adult males is not frequent, attacks on children are much more frequent, and when the cats and dogs run out, guess what's next? So we really do need to take a look at this, and I think it's better that we do it now than after something bad happens. Thank you, aside from my cats.
Thank you. George, thank you for your comments, and just a quick question. Have you chatted with the Humane Society about this?
I have.
You have, okay.
Most of that I talked to.
Okay, all right, I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And next is the consent calendar. Are there any items to discuss or pull? Hearing none, I want to pull number 7, and we can discuss that at the end. So with that, any discussion or a motion on the consent calendar except number 7?
I would make a motion that we accept consent calendar items 1 through 10, pulling 7 to be moved to the end of the agenda tonight.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item number 11, public hearing to consider proposed amendments to the master fee schedule.
Thank you, Mayor Kwalchuk. Tonight, our Finance Director, Jan Cook, will present the staff report for both, for this item.
Good evening, Mayor Kwalchuk and City Council members. Tonight I'm going to be going through a number of master fee schedule updates, mainly for changes to ordinances, cost of services, and further clarify fees and descriptions within the report itself. So I'm just going to start through each of those. First is taxi cab licensing. We're going to be removing that fee because that no longer is applicable to us given the changes in the Muni Code. The second is a lost citation fee. We're going to be removing that. That is not something that we currently enforce, and it's also consistent with other agencies in other cities. The third is an overhead fee of 20% administration on planning fees and other areas. And this is being removed due to changes in the citywide organization and our cost structure that has changed significantly over time. And so we'll be removing this fee and at a later time reevaluating what that overhead cost rate should be and bringing that back in the future. The fourth one is an entitlement fee. This is a description change only, and it really just says that where the city is an applicant, that it has no appeal fee for entitlement fees. The fifth one is an entitlement administrative review miscellaneous. This is a title change. One of the areas that we've had feedback on is that customers would like to see the planning fee rate clearly stated on the fee schedule, and so we're just renaming this to be more clear on that. The sixth item is an administration fee for sewer connections. And this is actually a replacement, and this was based on a Muni Code change that happened last year. We're just updating the schedule for that change. And then the last one is we're updating our staff research fees for the hourly costs for our current staffing positions. So with the changes that we've had, we've added those staff positions onto the list. Those are all the changes that we're making. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Great. Any discussion or questions? Then I close the hearing. Thank you. Do we need a motion?
Yes, we do.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution approving City of Half Moon Bay master fee schedule.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 12, city-initiated general plan amendment, updating the circulation element.
So this evening, we are going to present to you the culmination of many months of work. And tonight, Bruce Ambo, our planning manager, as well as Jill Ikas, who's been the project manager for the circulation element update, are going to present the staff report.
Thank you, Laura, and Mayor Kwalchuk and council members. We're here tonight to present the circulation element, as the city manager indicated. To my right, I'd like to introduce you to the project team. I have Jill Ikas, who's our project manager. Sitting all the way directly behind us, we have Audrey Darnell, who's our environmental manager. And then we have Bill Loudon, who's our traffic engineer. That's the team that formulated the plan before you. I thought it'd be helpful to go over a little background on the presentation today. We're going to give you a little background and context. Jill's going to discuss the community engagement process, and some of the highlights in the circulation element components. It'll come back to me to go over some of the topics that the Planning Commission considered and addressed. And then Jill's going to speak more on the environmental highlights. But just for a background perspective, the general plan is one of 7 elements that are mandated in state law. It's important to point out that the circulation element general plan amendment is consistent with the local coastal plan land use plan, but it is not part of the local coastal plan, so I want to distinguish that. That's a separate total document. And I also like to emphasize that majority of the technical studies for the circulation element were founded in the Highway 1 Traffic Safety and Congestion and Mitigation Plan. That was a process, as you may recall, went on for a couple of years. I'm going to give it back to Jill. She's going to cover some of the community engagement process and then also some of the technical components with the plan.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Kwolchak and members of the City Council. I'm happy to be here presenting some highlights of Half Moon Bay's updated circulation element. First up is the community engagement process, and that started about a year ago now with a very well-attended open house over in your Department of Operations, just in the building next door. We had about 40 folks come and study maps and all the different modes in the city, and they gave the consultant team and the staff there just a great amount of input. So that was a really good first step with that. We were able to then go back with a summary of that to the Planning Commission in February, and the Commission helped us to really refine that input a bit and gave us some priorities to work on. So that was kind of the pre-planning part of the process, and then the last 2 sessions that we've had were public hearings before the Planning Commission. There was a hearing on September 20, I think it was the 4th, and then we continued on to October 8th, where they made their recommendation to you to adopt the document that was given to you a couple weeks ago. And then what did all that input do? So this circulation element is really, we distilled it into 3 primary themes: safety, multimodal mobility, and connectivity. Those 3 themes really informed the drafting of the element, the setting of goals, policies, implementing actions, and identification of supportive projects for all the modes that were primarily studied for the city. They include, of course, auto, pedestrian, bicycles, transit, also emergency access, and a number of other special areas that are rather unique to Half Moon Bay, such as scenic routes and other kinds of modes of circulation. So from that, I just was going to highlight, you'll see this list here of a number of topics that there's new policy or fairly significantly kind of advanced policy from what was in the previous 1992 circulation element on many topics. Complete streets is one that I just wanted to note verbally a bit, because it was a year ago that I believe the city engineer, Mo, brought to you a complete streets policy and a resolution that the council adopted, and that's been put into your circulation element update, and policy and actions follow from that. Another couple that I'd like to make note of that are really new and different for your plan. Greener vehicular transportation is something that Bruce gave us some input from the Planning Commission and from his own experience, and we went out and took a look at that as evolving technologies are coming forward. Obviously, supporting electric cars is one side of that, but there can be other aspects to it. Greener streets may sound a little bit strange. That's the idea there is it could be multifold. So, for example, streets that have natural drainage systems, sidewalks that drain into a parking strip instead of a monolithic curb and gutter format. shade tree parking and asphalt parking lots to really be planted for reduction of heat island effect, in addition to attractiveness or just having a handsome landscape plan. And we'll be happy to talk about more of those, but I think you get the gist of what's in your element, and Bruce is now going to highlight some additional items that the Planning Commission, in their thoughtful review, asked us to go and improve or add into the element as well, which is in the document that you received.
Thanks, Jill. Yeah, some of the other items that the Planning Commission paid special attention to were consideration beyond the city limits, this idea of connectivity and integrating into facilities that are just beyond our border, transit and school buses, transit stops, the safety aspect of that, facilities maintenance, they talk about that quite a bit, with sidewalks and trails, special events with parking agreements and truck traffic. And then the kind of the general plan concept of consideration of future flexibility and opportunities. They recognize that this is a dynamic plan and that we need to be flexible and nimble and be able to move on different things as things evolve in the community. I'm going to give this back to Jill. She's going to kind of summarize the key elements of the environmental review.
All right. So we've got just a few quick slides on environmental review, but rest assured that environmental review pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, that we refer to as CEQA, has been conducted for this circulation element update. An initial study and mitigated negative declaration were put out for circulation last summer, and comments were received during that circulation time, and also additional comments were received during the public hearing process in September and October with the Planning Commission. The comments were very carefully assessed, and they were also compiled into a bound document that you received called the Response to Comments document, and we updated it all the way through everything that we had received through the Planning Commission's approval. We have not received any new written comments from that time to this hearing since it was noticed. So we continue to check. This project has had a maintained website with an email input system, and we've checked that, and Bruce also hasn't received any additional comments. You have all that we are aware of at this point. So then a couple things about those comments. They helped inform us, and we actually made some revisions to your circulation element because of them and reviewed those carefully with the Planning Commission. We also improved 3 mitigation measures that were associated with biological resources and strengthened those measures. And then those were incorporated into the mitigation, monitoring, and reporting program. So those are very important components to what your city staff needs to do as projects are implemented, is following the negative declaration with that monitoring reporting program. In conclusion, with respect to environmental review, the final determination as evaluated by staff, the consultant team, and the Planning Commission is that they found that all impacts identified would be less than significant with the mitigation measures incorporated and as provided in your final negative declaration and in the mitigation, monitoring, and reporting program. I am done. Bruce will provide some concluding thoughts.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, just to kind of summarize the character of this document. It's a flexible policy framework that keeps options open for us in the future as things evolve. The circulation element is intended to be respective of the scale, the size, and the special character of the community. And as you read through those policies, that's what emerges, that we grasp that and embrace them. And it's also this aspect of consistency. We will, as you know, we will be doing a general plan update after following this, and then a local coastal plan update. But there'll be, at the conclusion of that, we will do another review of the circulation element to ensure that those policies and plans are consistent at that time with whatever document is developed in the future. So for the rest of the hearing, we're recommending you go ahead. If you have any questions, go ahead and we'd be happy to take them. We're suggesting we open up the public hearing, the council open up the hearing, deliberate and take action. And our recommendation is actually to adopt the mitigated negative declaration and adopt the updated circulation element. And we've got a resolution that's recommended for your adoption. And I, as well as the rest of the team, would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. So I have 2 blue cards. Shall we hear from the public at this point? Oh. Opening the public hearing. I have 2 blue cards. Shall we hear from the public? And then we'll ask questions. So first is Jerry Steinberg. Jerry?
These are just some comments on this circulation element. There's no doubt it was well-intentioned and good concepts, and it's articulated very well. The overall look at pedestrian, bicycle, auto-integrated approach makes for a good plan. Of interest was the connectivity of neighborhoods and the lessening of the use of Highway 1 by the many intersecting subdivisions using Highway 1 as the only connecting route. It takes getting to about 3/4 through the document to have any questions arise. The chart indicating the peak hour intersection levels existing appears open to question for existing Saturday level at Ware Terrace Avenue. Was the data taken during an event on the coast or before the shortcut path to the high school was closed? The guess at data for 2035 appears also to be premature, as the Pacific Ridge development has not started after receiving approval in 2008, and with a predicted low growth rate for the coast, may not be viable in the near future. The proposed funding grant for several of the improvements along Highway 1 were for items that both Caltrans and the Coastal Commission has raised many issues, and the original hastily put together CDP has been withdrawn by the city. Caltrans has asked for more data to justify a stoplight at Terrace. It would be helpful if the city engineering department would work on engineering projects, concepts, and design, and have others pursue the obtaining of grants from agencies such as the San Mateo Transit Authority. It would also make it appear to be not self-serving the interests of our contracted engineering firm. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next is George Mudiff.
Again, George Mudiff for Redondo Beach Road, Half Moon Bay. This process has come a long way. I remember, maybe 50, 60 feet away in the sunroom, this circulation element was introduced by the city engineer at Pat Webb's first planning director's meeting. At the time she was interim planning director. So a lot of eyeballs have looked at this. A lot of people have spoken to it. And I'm glad to see that and to hear it. I attended most of the meetings, pretty much all of them, including the very first one that the city initiated with the little stickums and the boards and stuff, and it was interesting. I had actually had a little bit of fun, but I remember putting some comments in, and I remember other people putting comments in. In fact, if memory serves me, one of the council members put a comment on that board that was almost identical to mine, and it was about Foothill Boulevard. I don't see anything really specific about Foothill. You want circulation, put Foothill in. And instead of bringing it out Terrace, bring it out Bayview, which is a better intersection. And I seem to recall we had in 2006 a draft EIR from Lanto. I want to say it cost over $500,000. Actually, I don't want to say that. It was their money, but I believe that's what it was. And it took a lot of time. And I remember at the time, Ms. Patridge was mayor. And we came in and the place was packed, and the very first thing that she did was say, well, guess what, we're not going to put a lighted terrace. And the reason was the draft EIR had a wetland that prohibited it. And yet I still see stoplights at Terrace, and I just don't get it. It's too close to Main Street to widen, to put a light there. Bayview's a much better location. Foothill's a much better idea. I get traffic, of course, you know I live on the south side of town, and I get traffic coming into the city at 5:30 in the evening, sometimes even earlier, and it'll stretch for an hour or two, that even surpasses, goes south of James Ford. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is bad. Now, I know you know this, you don't need me to tell you this, but I continue to wonder why we don't hear more or see more about Foothill. It seems it would solve two issues with one stone. It would relieve that light at Terrace and move it up to Bayview, and we would have a circulation where 75% of the traffic goes north on Highway 1 every single workday evening. It's only going to get more as time goes on because there's more room for development up there than there is here. And Foothill would eliminate the intersection of Main and 92, and 1 and 92 would eliminate most of the traffic. I don't understand why we don't have that. I sure wish you guys would really kind of push a little harder. And I also understand that the element is not, circulation element is not terribly specific, and you know how I am about specifics. And I understand it gives you wiggle room, and that's a good thing because you never know what's going to happen over time. But the three concerns that I would have would be Foothill, the lighted terrace, and I don't recall seeing a heck of a lot of mention about Main Street and Main Street Bridge, and certainly that is also a very strong part of our circulation element. If it's not, it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Comments, questions from the council?
If there are no further speakers, I would recommend you close the public hearing.
So closed. Thank you. Comments, questions from the council?
I do. I have some comments in regards to Foothill Boulevard. Totally agree that we need a parallel road to Highway 1. It's not that this council has not thought about it. It has kind of been taken out of our control as far as Foothill Boulevard going through. So, I mean, we did have an assessment district. When that project was killed, the assessment district was killed also. All the money was returned. So it's a matter of starting all over and getting funding. It's also a matter of not considering Baywood as one of the points, simply because Cabrillo Properties, the city, or as property owners, we have not decided what we're going to do with that property. So I think having the flexibility, as the planning director has indicated, I think it's something that can still be looked at. It's not dead in the world, because this is not built into concrete. So I think we need to look at this as kind of like a guideline, and not something that's saying, okay, this is exactly what we're going to be doing. But I totally agree that whether it's Foothill or whatever, we need to have a parallel road to Highway 1. I'm not sure how we're going to do that, if we're going to have highways up in the sky or what. But, you know, like on, what was that, Flintstone? No, was it not Flintstone? Jetsons. Remember how you went around in the air? But I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that. I mean, that's a tremendous challenge. So, but I agree. We need a parallel road. And I was telling the city manager this weekend was probably the worst weekend I have seen traffic going north on Highway 1. In fact, I was so stunned, I made a U-turn, went in the parking lot, and I watched all the traffic go through north. So I don't know if it's the wonderful sign that we have now on Highway 92 that says go north. It says go see Princeton Harbor. No, it doesn't. It says both. So anyway, I'm not sure that people are tired of going to our main street and now going north. I'm just making a joke of it, but it's absolutely true. I mean, so, you know, somebody else can come up with some other parallel road. I mean, we really wanted the frontage road in front of Castle Del Mar to be really left as one of the roads, because for emergencies, we did have to use that one year when there was a really serious accident, and that was the only way people could get north was on Castle Del Mar Road. So I'm not sure what the plan is.
So I'll make a comment on that. Not about the sign though, but about the need, the flexibility in the document, which I appreciate, and I think it's there. And I was the council member that referenced Foothill at that brainstorm meeting, but really, so I was one of them. Anyway, but I think a better description would be, I think Naomi put it better, that there's a parallel access. Not, they call it what you will, and maybe it's not what was previously envisioned as Foothill, but the need for parallel access is important, and so I think the flexibility is in there for that, so I concur with that. Other questions, comments? Marina?
I agree with you. I think this does allow for some flexibility, and appreciate the work the staff did and all of the comments from the community at these workshops. I think having the connectivity and looking at improving safe pedestrian access, walkways, bikeways is critical for us. So I'm glad that we've got some flexibility, that we can be creative in connecting neighborhoods in safe walkways for people.
Through the chair, yes, I echo the comments about an alternative parallel road north. I mean, we lived most of the time south, and we're not caught up in that until occasionally we have to go north. But Friday and Saturday night, the traffic was, I've never seen it like that outside of Pumpkin Festival. Highway 1, Main Street, just bumper to bumper, and they were, and had nothing to do with the sign, by the way, they were they were all heading north. When they got to 92, nobody was turning. They were all crawling. Something must have been happening. I don't know what it was. The people that do live north of town, they really, mornings and evenings, they have a mess on their hands. And anything that we can do to improve it, and I know when I talked to the city engineer one time, I said, well, Mo, if you add, lanes farther, that merge farther north, how does it help? You still have to merge back into one lane at some point. And he said, well, look at the improvements to 92 and Highway 1 and Main Street. In the mornings, it used to be a total disaster. The people coming south couldn't get onto 92, and it was just gridlock. And I thought to myself, well, adding more lanes when you still have to merge down to one, and it's not going to help. It works. And what happens is the people get more time to merge and to funnel into the one lane, and it keeps traffic moving smoothly in the mornings. It's helped tremendously. I think we've all seen that. So I think we have a real dire need to improve, especially in the evening, the traffic heading north outside of town, and try to improve that. As far as stoplights go, the one in Pillar Cetus is amazing. I mean, now you can tell those people in those neighborhoods can cross the highway on foot without fear of being run over. They can get on the highway morning and evening without sitting there for hours waiting or taking their life in their hands. I just wish, Mo, you could time it a little bit better, because it seems like every time somebody pops onto Pillar Cetus, poof, Highway 1 turns red. But in terms of how it's improved those neighborhoods' access, it's amazing. It's critical. And I understand, too, I would like to see a light farther north, but in discussions, again, with the city engineer, it really ends up involving the warrants, if I'm saying that right, the amount of traffic at a certain point is what Caltrans uses to finally justify where a light goes. So I think, we're not traffic engineers. We have to rely on our relationship with Caltrans of where lights do go. But clearly, again, as you get north of town, those people in those communities there really have a hard time getting off and on Highway 1. And sometimes I think they just close their eyes and hit the gas pedal. It gets so bad. So I think all these things are going to be helpful to our community moving forward. And again, I echo the same comments This is a high-level document helping us move forward. It's been since, what, 1992? So it's really important. I'm so happy to see the city finally updating all these elements. Our general plan's getting started. I don't know what this part costs. I know it's not inexpensive. The general plan is just under $1 million. And it's something that has to happen. So I'm really glad we're doing this, and I thank you to the people that have worked on this. It's a good document. Thank you.
So I concur across the board, and Councilmember Patrick, something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that my Sunday reading was the comments and response, and watching the 49ers at the same time. But I want to comment what a great job you people did on making responses to this, and it was very, very well done, and I just want to compliment you for that.
So I concur with that. I want to acknowledge not just staff, but also Planning Commission and the public who contributed at our sessions, all our work together. No small amount of effort went into this document. Not in this, there's a lot of work assembling it, a lot of work contributing to it, and all very valuable. So much appreciated. And if there aren't any other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the general plan amendment to replace the 1992 circulation element with an updated 2013 circulation element.
And would that be adopting the resolution that does that and
that would
has
be
the initial study and mitigated negative declaration?
That would be by adopting the resolution based upon the findings contained therein of attachment 1 with the following initial study and mitigated negative declaration, along with the general plan amendment.
I would second that.
A motion and a second. I would like a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, and with that, it passes unanimously. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Moving on to item number 13, adjustments to the annual budget.
Jan Cook will be making a return appearance this evening.
I'm back. Okay, we have a couple of adjustments that we're proposing for this current year to the budget, and a lot of these are one-time expenses that won't be recurring into the future years. The total cost of those is about $625,500, and these will primarily be coming from the unassigned reserves that are available. We have a total reserve balance of about $1.7 million, so this would bring our unassigned reserve balance down to about $1.1 million once we fund these budget amendments. So the first one is just a change in the safety side fund paydown amount. We now have a final calculation from CalPERS, and when we pay off this $175,000 more, the entire liability will be paid off for the safety side fund. This has been a couple-year process for the city, and this will complete that process. The second is related to city attorney contract services, and this is an amount above and beyond the annual contract amount of 65 hours per month, and this will be used to support key strategies and work related to Main Street Bridge, Kehoe Ditch, and other planning matters for the city. The third is transition costs, and this is just simply a budget amendment because of the timing of the labor negotiations in connection with when the budget is estimated. And it's also related to contracting of planning services. The other one is HR contract services, and this is simply covering some recent turnover in the staff and supporting some of the HR work that is needed within the city. The other one is the federal interest subsidy reduction, and this is coming from the sequester, the federal budget sequester. We have an 8.7 reduction in our interest subsidy on the Series B bond, and so it requires just a $23,000 general fund subsidy to support the debt service into the bond fund. Also, at the time of the budget, when we did the budget, we still had the planning, we had not contracted out for planning services, so we're reconfiguring that budget to go from being payroll to contract services, just rearranging the money. And then also we have a biological study that was also needed at the time of this budget amendment. And then the last one is related to personnel funding. There's no budget impact. However, it is a head count of 1 in increase. And the reason that it's a no budget impact is that it's just the timing of open positions and rearranging of the positions. And really, the realignment of headcount is coming in a couple different ways. First, we're adding a CIP manager, which will help to support the capital project oversight. And then secondly, an admin services officer, which will support the operational strategic projects. And then the third is a finance manager, which will help with key finance deliverables. So again, that's a net incremental headcount of 1, but there's no budget impact for the year. So to summarize, these are all adjustments that for the most part are one-time, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions or comments from the council? So with the, I have one, with the revised unassigned reserve balance at just over $1 million, in your estimation, is that an appropriate amount, percentage-wise, on a percentage basis? Or is that, so that aren't we required to keep a certain percentage of our funds in reserve?
Yes, this is the unassigned portion, so this is above and beyond the amount that's been reserved for that.
Got it, thank you. And with that, do we need a motion?
Yes, I would recommend a resolution approving adjustments to the fiscal year 13-14 annual budget of the city of Half Moon Bay.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 14, Treasurer's Report.
I'm back again. So this is a report on the Q1 Treasurer's Report. And the purpose of the Treasurer's Report is to provide a point-in-time snapshot of the city's cash and investment position. And the report is prepared quarterly. It's something that we present as a consent item primarily at City Council. And it provides an open accounting of the city's funds. And it's also another way to cross-check against our policies. This item's on business item per request of a council member. This is normally just a regularly scheduled item. And all of our investments are in compliance, and there's no additional action that we're asking you to take tonight related to this report. As far as the investment objectives of the city, in order of priority, we have safety, liquidity, and return in that order. We also are required to comply with state laws and also our investment policy. There are parameters in the state law and our investment policy regarding the types of investments that we can make and the level of investment we can make within those types of investments. Every year, the City Council adopts an annual investment policy as required by state law. The investment sectors that we're invested in are in the San Mateo County Pool and LAIF, and a large portion you'll see in fiscal agents, and then demand deposits and money markets. The San Mateo County Pool and the LAIF are liquid investments which provide a lot of flexibility in cash flow in helping with our cash flow needs. Most notable in this quarter is the amount that is in the fiscal agent category. The $13.15 million insurance proceeds that the City Council decided to use to help pay down the bond program that is included in that amount at this point and is sitting in an irrevocable escrow trust. As far as our investment performance, the portfolio consistently exceeds our one-year Treasury note benchmark, and our current quarter is at 0.4%. Versus the 0.1% on a Treasury note at this time for the quarter. Whew, yes. And with that, that summarizes the treasurer's report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you for the report. I was the one that asked for that. And the reason I asked for that was, normally it's on consent, but we as a city we're in better shape than we've been in. And we also have just received the funds from the insurance settlement, and I wanted just to be clear of where our investments were, and that everything is being handled appropriately, and clearly everything is. We are just crushing our returns compared to the one-year treasury note. I believe if I saw that correctly, that's we're like 400% higher than the one-year treasury note, 400%. So that's phenomenal. But no, I did want to have this item call out that I wanted to have the opportunity to say two things. One, that we are, especially in light of also Bell California issues, we are doing things the right way. This is where our money is. I also want to take the opportunity to highlight that we, as a city, are in a much better place than we had been, and I think this all comes together here. So thank you for that report. Any other questions or comments?
I thought it was a good idea you did that, because it does show the community that we are, becoming fiscally sound, and it's great to see that. So thanks for all your hard work.
We do have 2 requested actions on this item.
I shall make a motion to accept the treasurer's report for the quarter ending September 30th, 2013, and adopt a resolution approving the transfer of fund balance from Fund 55 to Fund 01 and eliminating the City Debt Service Fund 55 fund from the financial structure of the City of Half Moon Bay.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Jan. Coming back to item number 7. Item number 7 from the consent agenda. So I don't know if should we introduce the item, or shall I say why I pulled it? How do we start? I'll start. Well, thank you. I'll start. So several weeks ago, we had Mr. Duffy from GSD come and give a presentation on the idea of expanding GSD to be a community services district. And conceptually, that at a super high level, like, what does that mean? Does that mean more parks, better parks, things for kids to do? I wondered, so I asked the question, what is the vision of this organization? And I'm very fond of Mr. Duffy, and we work well with GSD at SAM, and everything's good there, but I was very uncomfortable with the answer. Because the answer was, well, we're going to form the and you guys tell me if I heard it wrong, but it sounded like we're going to form the organization, and then we're going to set the vision for what we're going to do. And I was uncomfortable with that. I think that for us to support it, I want to know what the intent is. And if I understand if there's commitment to the intent, then I can support that intent, or not, depending on what that intent is. But it wasn't clear to me what that intent was. And do you recall hearing something other than that, or is that fairly accurate? Okay, so with that, and there's a draft letter for consideration. Let me just jump to that. And the draft letter states that Half Moon Bay fully supports these efforts. So tomorrow there's a LAFCO meeting where this is going to go in front of LAFCO. There are 3 conditions in this letter that was drafted by staff and is very well written, no grammar errors or anything, and indicating the conditions are prior LAFCO approval, etc., on a couple items, and some clarification of the intent. I feel otherwise. I think the letter is written as it says we approve, we support this with these conditions. And I would prefer it written in the opposite, that as articulated to us, we do not support this project because of the following reasons. And if these reasons are addressed, then I would really welcome enthusiastically approving it. I think it's a smarter move for us because it's really open-ended to me, and I'm sort of uncomfortable with where it's going to go. Now, anybody who knows me, I mean, you know I'm all about whatever we can do for the kids, for the parks, for the community. I'm all about supporting that. But I'm not comfortable blindly supporting something that can't be articulated or wasn't shared with us what it would be. I think my understanding is the intentions are good of GSD and all of these things. However, I'm uncomfortable standing behind something that is just so very vague. So that's why I pulled it and I offer that for discussion. And certainly, Alex, if you have any comments or perspective, having written this fine letter, I'd welcome to hear that too. But you can feel free to contribute or not contribute. You don't have to.
I think you captured it pretty well.
Thank you. So to the council, any comments, questions? Do you concur or disagree?
Well, I agree in that we fully support the efforts to try and provide it, but I think in order for us to say what you want us to say, that unless they do the following things, it may need to be stronger in those kind of terms. And I agree, unless we really know that this is what they are really going to do, to provide park facilities and recreation. I'm not sure about the money. I just want to make sure also that our residents that live in Frenchman's Creek, Miramar, anybody that's serviced by Algonata Sewer, that the city of Half Moon Bay does get money back for those residents for the recreation that they supposedly are going to be having to pay for, and they're paying for it through us also. So, and we can't get numbers out of it. So I think if they can be more specific to us, I would truly appreciate that we can get more information from them. Because right now, I don't want our residents that are in the Algonata Sewer District to be being charged, and we're not getting money back for that.
Yeah, something more specific, because they want to form a community services district. So what does that mean? Is it truly providing active recreation? Is it acquiring open space lands? Just more specificity on exactly what their mission is. And once that becomes clear, I think that's something that one could get behind.
And the one thing, when Mr. Duffy was here, I said, I'd just like to see a simple financial of where are you now? What does Granada get for sewer money from property tax? How are you spending that? So if you're getting $1 million and you spend $1 million on your sewer costs, then tell me, and B, what's going to change? Are you going to get more money? If you're getting the same $1 million, I don't know how you can divert any of that to any park or recreation activities if currently it's being used for sewers. So I just need to know, I need to understand the financials, number one, and then number two, I agree, we need to see mission statements, etc. I mean, first is financials, and then it's mission statements, and what are the activities, what are your goals as an organization. So I agree with the mayor. I think this letter needs to be a little bit more, I don't know if the term would be blunt, but we'd be willing to consider this proposal if we had a little more information specifically to the points that are shown here.
May I suggest potential wording, and we can draft on the fly. I know Alex has a pen ready, so you ready? Okay, you ready? It's good enough. Okay. But
The city attorney has also drafted something.
He's not even here. Okay, got it. Sorry. But something that reflects either is we don't have to be, well, we can be blunt and say we do not support it, which frankly, as of today, I don't. I'll be clear. As of this moment, I don't, because we could not get answers to our questions. And I thought they were pretty simple foundation level questions. So we could be that direct, or we could be more polite and something that City of Half Moon Bay does not yet support or is prepared to support, which is another way of saying we don't support it yet. Either way, I'm good, but I'm happy to hear what staff might suggest.
One of the possible modifications you might want to consider is to the first paragraph, it could possibly be modified to say that we support the efforts to provide additional parks and recreational opportunities on the coast side, as is currently written there. And at that point, we would then change it, and we would say, however, at this time, we do not support efforts to reorganize to become a community services. We do not support El Granada or whatever in their efforts unless the following issues are fully addressed. And then we would maintain the bullets that are already there. I also hear a suggestion to add a bullet that talks about a financial plan to that list. And then at the very end, we could modify it to say that the city urges LAFCO to consider including the foregoing to the application. So it'd be be sort of a technical modification at the bottom.
So
does that meet your needs?
It may. Can you try that again? Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to? The City Council of the City of Half Moon Bay fully supports efforts to provide additional parks and recreation opportunities on the coast side. However, at this time, we do not support efforts we do not support Granada Sanitary District's efforts to reorganize to become a community service district unless the following issues are fully addressed. And then
Okay, got it. So
have those bullets and add a fourth one that talks about the financial plan.
right, and so does that say that if they address those four things, then we automatically support it? Is that how that's written?
No.
Okay, then we'll reconsider. Yeah, then I'm comfortable with that if everybody else is.
We can add a line that expressly says we will reconsider it once they address those items, if that makes you
I
more
think we
comfortable.
should be silent to that.
Silent to that?
Absolutely. That we will reconsider, because they need to understand that we are serious about that they need to follow these conditions. Because, if they don't do it, then we're not going to reconsider. Absolutely.
So then,
Why would we say we're going to reconsider if they don't follow those?
right, so then I think the wording should be that, however, we do not support GSD's efforts to reorganize to a community services district because, and that's the reason why, and then we just leave it flat. So it's a because. I'm wordsmithing from the dais.
You are doing that. Yeah, it would have to come back just to see what it looks like, because I personally don't think there should be little pockets. I think if it was a coastside community recreation district, I think that would truly be the way to go. So let's get this defined, see what it is, and make evaluations and assessments.
I just want to
when
remind
does
you that
occur.
this is, letter is contemplating being submitted for the LAFCO November 20th meeting. Yeah. Okay.
So they asked us for support, and I think we're saying, for these reasons, we do not support it. Right, okay.
But I didn't say at this time.
Don't be so wishy-washy, Ellen. Absolutely. Of course it's at this time.
So we'll make a motion to amend the letter that has been as stated by the city manager. Is that too loose, or is that good? That's good.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And I believe that concludes our city council meeting for today. Thank you to staff. Thank you for our viewers. Thank you for our public for attending. Good evening.